Welcome to the Business Spotlight series. My name is Kay Cote, and I am your host for today's episode. And today on the show, I have Kate Ritter, founder and CEO of HomeKind, as my guest. We're going to be learning about her business, her journey to business ownership, some challenges she may have faced along the way, as well as give you that insider look to what it's like to own and operate a business. If this is your first time on our channel, be sure to like and subscribe to get notifications when we drop episodes like this. Welcome, Kate. It's so great to have you on the show. Thanks for being here.
Amazing, Kay. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Wonderful. Yes. Well, let's dive in. Before we talk about business, I'd love to learn a little bit about you. Can you share a bit about yourself?
Well, my name is Kate Ritter, and I am a mom. I have two boys, 4 and 5 and 9. Sorry, he just had his birthday. They love baseball, so we're a busy family and have always been a creative. So from my early days until now, it's morphed in many different transitions, but I am always looking for inspiration and sort of comfort that comes from inspiration for me from everything from clothes and makeup is kind of where my career started and all things home because home is finding home and creating your home space, taking it from just a space to home is such a magical thing. So yeah, that's a little bit of a roundabout for me.
I
I need
love it. As a fellow creative, I'm so excited to dive into this conversation. So this will be so much fun. Thank you for sharing a little introduction. So I want to know more. I want to know like your why behind, like first a little bit about what HomeKind is, and
Sure.
then share a little bit about your why.
Yeah, so current state of HomeKind is that we are a 3D visualization design studio. You're able to take a single photo of a space, put it into our system. It'll, AI generate a 3D environment for then to just plug and play any kind of furniture or furnishings of your dream kind of space. So it is, people have a hard time visualizing. And I think I found a statistic recently that was almost 70% of people are visual learners. And that makes sense. So, yeah, I think that HomeKind, that's where it is now. When it started, because where it is all things business, where it started, it was actually a virtual staging company. So we worked with real estate agents, and I had a team of interior designers who were decorating those spaces, preparing the photos for market. And they loved it because they got to be creative with homes all over the United States and could play. And they kept coming back and saying, we would love to have different brands included or different types of pieces. We want this to be an easier, more streamlined process. And then on the other side, the real estate agents were coming back and saying, my clients loved all of the furniture in those pictures. Is there any way we can buy all of that? And that was kind of the birthplace of where the design studio was formed. I found who is now my CTO. He's fantastic. He was the first developer who didn't laugh me out of the room. And I said, can we do this? And he said, yeah, I think so. And to me, that was fantastic. Like, just take a shot with me. Let's just see if we can try and create a platform like this. And he has been my my buddy through the journey, many iterations of trying things out. So yeah, that's a little bit of the background of we started in one space, kind of pivoted to another, and now just leaning in.
Wow, what an incredible story. And like already a golden nugget of this conversation is that, the pivot part of businesses, and it's so crucial that you recognize that and you were able to say, hey, let's just like take a slight turn in this direction to just better serve like the mission, the people. So I think that's super cool.
Mm. And you asked about the why. I think I missed that
Yes,
part.
the
So
why. Yes.
the why behind it. My husband and I traveled a lot earlier in our marriage, and for me, it was always important to try and get some pictures hung on the wall or just some little pieces of of what could feel like home, even if we were traveling and we were staying in hotels, I would have candles or whatever, something to make it feel like ours. I think through that, because I was a creative and I worked in very creative industries, most of the people that I surrounded, that friends and community that I had, were also living in sort of a got to pick up and be ready to go because maybe I'm going to get a job that's going to take me somewhere else. And so they were living in like boxes and they might have been there for 10 years, but it was just this sort of, okay, I could be here temporarily mentality.
Mm.
And for me, I just, when your home setup happens, it just really is kind of this sacred, you know, that you have a safe like spot to land your head at the end of the day. And so helping them see, they just couldn't necessarily see that like, oh, I could unpack these boxes and still be able to pick up and run if I need to, not run, but like take the next job for the tour that they're going to be on or the show that they might have gotten or, fill in the blank there. But I really do believe home is this sort of sacred and like very personal thing, which is where Homekind came from. It was, home is as individual as humankind. We all, and so that's where humankind and homekind kind of that's where the name came from. But then also the heartbeat is sort of this constant reminder of like making it easy for people to see and visualize what home could be for them instead of being this. We supply from retailers everything in a price point from Target and Walmart up to our house in Crate and Barrel. And there's just this really broad range, local artists for artwork, and there's just a broad range. And we want it to continue to be that so that people can explore and be inspired by instead of trying to say, well, this is what home should look like. We want people to be able to build it the way they want to build it. So that's a little bit of a long answer, but
I love a good story. And there's so many points that I just completely resonate with, especially like thinking about like a recent apartment move where it's
Mhm.
like, oh, I just don't hang the mirror or I don't hang the curtains or I
Yeah.
leave the artwork on the floor. And then when you finally do those things, it feels so good. It's like, oh, I feel like home now.
Yeah, it's true. And I think when you feel like home, it takes away there's something about that innately starts saying put roots down, have deeper conversations, have bigger relationships, like as opposed to sort of temporary, even if you're in an apartment. I mean, we've been renters, we have owned homes and then we've rented homes, and it doesn't matter whether we're owning or renting, we're still going to kind of make it feel like ours because I think for us as a family unit at this point, that's just really important to so that dreams, we can dream, we can be excited about life. It's that soft space. There's something really precious and sacred about that kind of feeling.
I truly agree. Well, this is so fun. I'm really excited to learn about where the business is at now. Like looking at, let's start with your team.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about your team. How many team members do you have, and like, what's your plans to grow your team?
Oh, I love that. I love my team. I'm so proud of each and every one of them. There's about 10 of us now. And one of the things that I've realized recently is a very home kind culture is I'm a firm believer in there's a book called Strengths Finder, and it's sort of this testing kind of ground by Gallup Management or Gallup Poll or something is the entity that puts that on. And I can't remember how many strengths, but the concept of it is if you're really leaning into your strengths, then you can surround yourself with people who are leaning into their strengths. And then there's not really weaknesses. Each person sort of plugged in exactly where their lane is, and they own it and they're proud of it and they're excited. And I think that's something that really kind of plays into how we've built this crew of people. So we have developers and then we also have an operational side. So our development unit, they work so well together and they're very, probably one of the things I end every morning meeting with is check in with each other. Like check in with each other, see if there's anything, if you can pick up slack for someone or whatever. But yeah, our team is awesome, and same on the operational side. So we have sort of the sales, business focus, customer experience side, and then for me, sort of outreach and building out sort of the branding of what HomeKind is, and bringing um, just having conversations like these, all of that kind of stuff to bring brand awareness and understanding behind what we're doing and what we're trying to build. So yeah, if you haven't read StrengthsFinder, I highly recommend it. It'll be very fascinating.
I I've done my strengths finder
You
and
have?
I thought it was like the coolest thing. The, it's really, really fun. And we do disc assessment as well. So like,
Amazing.
yeah, those are I
What are
really
your strength? Can I ask you that? Do you remember maybe
uh,
your top one or two?
uh my number one is woo.
I love perfect.
It's very fitting to what I do.
Yeah.
And I'll have to email you. I'd love to share back and forth on what our strength finders are because I can't remember my other ones, but they're definitely a lot of orange, if I remember right. There's a lot of orange there.
I love it. The best part about it is it'll say it's so helpful to break down, like if you're working with someone who has this strength, this is how great ways to kind of engage, and then here are other things to maybe, pull them away from these areas. They'll hate it. Like it's really helpful for that. My parents actually worked together, and for years my mom would say, "I don't want to go to staff meetings," and my dad would be like, "Well, I just really need you to be a part of staff meetings." And then finally she took StrengthsFinder and it said for hers, like, do not put this person in a staff meeting unless they're doing a presentation. And she was like, see, here it is. Yeah. So for that kind of thing, it's kind of silly and fun, but also so helpful.
It really is. It
Yeah.
really is, which actually leads me perfect. I want to chat about like your leadership style with
Mm.
your team, because every team has a leader, and I would love to hear what your leadership style is and like how you work with your team.
That's such an interesting. I think it's something I'm constantly exploring. I know that I am generally more of kind of like I'm lean into more inspirational style of leading. I'm not such like and I probably am a similar parent in that kind of way. Not such like a um I'm more, I don't know, with the boys in particular, I feel like that's a little bit of an example of like if they're standing up on, of course, I'm going to tell them you could fall, like be careful at this age, though they want to test it out. And so I'm sort of, where my husband's a little more like, no, get down, get off of that. I think that I don't have an exact phrasing for it. I'm very much a helper and I want to jump in and help. And I have so from that standpoint, like sometimes probably I'm helping too much and I need to step out and let everybody do their stay in their lane. Like that's kind of part of my like, okay, I will stay in my lane. We're all kind of working together. So, but yeah, I think we really lean into like starting first, like human first, and caring for checking in on everybody, how you doing, and then okay, let's go. And sort of navigating if this is draining on you, let's figure out why and see if we can figure out is this a task we can put on someone else's plate that might thrive and love that? And, so I'm still learning. I'm 3 years into this journey and certainly could be learning more. I'm a Enneagram 2. We're going to be talking about a lot of those kind of things, so I do know that about myself.
I love that. We'll definitely have to grab a coffee sometime and like chat all the assessments. Yes,
Yeah,
I definitely.
that's probably that is my leadership style, assessments, and then let's talk about it.
That's perfect. Well, it
Mhm.
sounds like you're building something really beautiful there. And you touched on some golden nuggets again, like human first is that's a huge, we think about we're in the business of people, really. Like
Yeah.
it's so um
Yeah.
yeah, so
Well,
cool. Yeah, go ahead.
no, one of our, it's like, it's sort of a consistent, is like, we literally have kind in our name. So we need to be kind in the way we navigate this. And I think that that's something that can be lacking in business at times is, oh, in order to get a deal done, it has to be so, black and white, and and certainly there are layers of that for sure, but I still think that you can be kind through the process. And
Mhm.
so yeah, I to your point about that, we that is one thing that we do culturally really embrace, is finding ways to, even when it's hard and it could be a tough conversation, how can you handle it with kindness and human first? So
Definitely. Well, looking at the last 3 years in business, what is a challenge? I know business owners, as we are, we get faced with so many challenges,
oh
but
yeah.
what would be like a notable challenge you were faced with that you overcame, and how did you do it?
Oh, that's a good question. Um, I think actually one of the things that I would say was a real big challenge last year was sort of the oncoming onslaught of all things AI. And
Mm,
we certainly have layers of AI within our business. Um, at the same time, I think, because at first glance, you could look at what we do and it can look like just a before and after photo, and that's what we're focused on. I really wrestled with that last year of, are we missing this? I had a lot of advisors kind of coming in saying like, you've got to get on this train, let's go. But for me, I felt that it was really valuable and important, our drag and drop environment where someone can see what it would look and feel like to have the sofa on this wall versus that back wall versus this one. It's that kind of environment that I just kind of held to my gut on, of like, I know that this seems slower and maybe a little old school in the face of generative AI, and transformations on specific photos. But for the use case of someone shopping and setting up home, it just felt really important to have that kind of moment. And I'm really thankful that I trusted that. I think now, as we've gotten further in the generative AI kind of movement. And there, again, there's certainly layers of that within our platform. I am so thankful that we leaned into keeping that to be our core, um, because it is what sets us apart, is that sort of 3D playground, if you will. Um, and I would say that was a real challenge because there are so many voices kind of speaking into you and trying to say, like, this is the way of the future and this is how you have to have it. And there's certainly going to be parts of that. 5 years from now, we'd be saying something completely different. But for this moment right now, I'm really thankful that we have stayed stayed true to that.
definitely. Well, going right into kind of the next couple of questions around your marketing, how
Yeah.
you're showing up in the industry, how you're putting yourself out there. It sounds like you have this is your kind of secret sauce that you're working on, the thing that you bring to the table. So how are you sharing about it to get those clients and customers?
That's a great question. That is also, I would say, another kind of challenge point of, how are we connecting? What are we showcasing? And it's been a bit of that testing. If we're just showing before and after photos, those are getting people maybe to our website, but not necessarily signing up. And I think for us, learning to have more of those videos showing how someone's playing and interacting in the tool, which
Mm,
is what helped kind of inform these decisions. For us, those are the actual ones that now come in and they're creating an account and they're playing, our minimum platform time for first time signups is 7 minutes. And
mm,
they're coming in and they are playing for long amounts of time, which is fantastic. So for us, that's kind of one way. From us, we are constantly trying to, I think for me, I leaned in heavily into my LinkedIn community. And
mm,
so that's an area that I've personally spent a lot of focus and energy is, and I don't know that everyone thinks of that when they think of marketing. I think typically it's, Instagram, all the different socials in that way. But from the LinkedIn standpoint, it's just really been awesome, and have had a lot of really great connections, been able to get to be a part of events, met the community that I've made with the U.S. Prop Tech Council, and I am leading the residential forum, through that. So those are some of the ways. And I think a comment that we are leaning into we'll see how this goes, but I feel really good about it. And is we probably have been very curated about the collections and what we've put together for how we're presenting our imagery. And I think what we're going to start doing is opening more to what users are doing and letting their post be part of, so that way they're home and what they're experimenting with instead of such a curated kind of aesthetic, especially because that's the whole, it's sort of anti to what we're trying to do, which is say, like, you get to come in and create your space. We're not sitting here trying to tell you this is the look you have to have, kind of thing. So, those are some changes in the marketing strategy. Um, I think everybody kind of goes about it in different ways. So,
I love it. I like the hands-on. Like I want to go and make a space now.
yeah,
Like that sounds
yeah,
really fun.
yeah.
So, well,
Please do.
I will. I'd love to. I'd like maybe it'll give me like some ideas even just for my space or something.
Yeah.
So, this has been such a fun conversation, and I want to go into our rapid fire Q&A.
Okay.
Well, I'll ask you four questions and answer very top of mind. So they're super fun. Are you ready for some rapid fire?
I think so.
All right, Kate. Question number one is, what is a key to success for you?
Oh, that's such a good question. It's supposed to be rapid fire. For me, like standing in my own skin, I know that sounds weird, but really like success for me feels when I feel really solid in where I'm at and with the crew and the people around me, that feels like success. It feels like really ta being able to take in the moment of like we are here and we only get to do this once kind of thing. So, uh, I don't know.
I'm right with you on that for sure. That's a big one. Number two is, what is a piece of advice you have for other business owners?
It leans into what I just said, I think, and it's just really like listen and trust yourself. Your
Mm,
first instinct is probably the best one, and I think something happens as we get older in life and you start second guessing your first instinct. And I that's what I would say is just really trust yourself. Because even if it runs differently than what you had hoped for, if you trusted yourself, you won't be waking up in the middle of the night wondering what if I had trusted my gut? What if I had? And like for your future self will thank you. I think if you're
yeah, it's
trusting. Yeah.
so true. Question number three is, it could be like a book you've read recently or a podcast that you've listened to. What's something that you've taken in most recently?
My brother just told, and I'm gonna look it up. It was interesting. It's a book I'm going to start reading. Oh, I can't find it. He was discussing sort of power dynamics, and it's a way of kind of understanding how, not necessarily that you use those to like play them out, but in and especially being a woman in business, a younger woman in business, those things are at play. And I think sort of being able to recognize what's going on and how to navigate that world of business, because it can be very um harsh. I
Mm.
think for me, that's one that I am, um, it's helping me recognize sort of how to navigate certain dynamics that are more challenging than others.
Yes, is it
It's,
Power Play by chance?
it is, I wonder if it'll show me. Well,
There's a couple books.
another one would be Braving the Wilderness by Brene Brown. I love Brene Brown. So that's another one. So I think sort of um, those are a couple. It was some 40 something of power.
48 Laws of Power. Or
Yeah, that one. Yeah,
that's a
so
great one too.
okay, good. Okay. So that's on my to-do list. Previous would be probably anything Brene Brown, even any of her like conversations and whatever that she has for TED Talks and all of that. Like I soak so much of that up.
Same. Oh, that's a great one. And the final question in the rapid fire is, if you could wave a magic wand and
Uh-huh.
overnight change one aspect of your business for the better, what would it be?
Oh, overnight. Let's see. I mean, if it's a magic wand, we would have HomeKind design studio on every platform out there for furniture shopping. I
Mm. Oh, I love
mean,
that.
if we're going big, because it's a magic wand. Um,
Oh, I love
yeah.
that. That's a good answer.
Why not?
Um, this has been such a fun conversation. Before we get to our final question, let's share about your business. How can people connect with you online?
Yes. So you can go to homekind.com, HOMEKYND. Um, so homekind.com, you can set up an account and start playing. So upload a photo of a room or even we've seen people recently doing more photos of funky spaces, that weird hallway you're not quite sure what to do with, and all of that. And again, we have thousands upon thousands of SKUs in our system from most every retailer where you can, if you're thinking about what it might look like,
Hmm.
go for it. Go play and tell me about it. That's those are the things. We're also on Instagram, Homekind. You can find me on LinkedIn, Kate C. Ritter. So yeah, those are all the different ways to connect.
Wonderful. Thank you, Kate. For the final question today is, what is most inspiring to you today?
I think anyone who has watching people with similar journeys where they are braving a new path, I think that's what's really incredible. Doing creative things in a really unique way that people haven't done before. I think,
Mm.
all of those bits and pieces are pretty incredible. So those are where I get in, and my boys, they're inspiring too.
Oh, this is wonderful. Thank you so much for the inspiring words and just for sharing about your business today.
Love it. Thank you so much, Kay. Appreciate you.